Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, m.starkspal. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. I have the wingman running the three, LT the Sage. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How you feeling today?
Man, I'm doing good, man.
Good.
Definitely good.
Good. Yeah, just another beautiful Saturday. We're going to be talking about the potential season not potential, but the season coming up and the potential of some of these teams. And I hope you guys love the content. But I'll send it back over to you, Starks.
Yeah, absolutely. On a good Saturday. And we got some information to give you guys before we get into it. Make sure you guys check out our site, newlifefantasy.com. We've got a couple of updates on this website to make it a little bit more cleaner, but make sure you guys check out the faith side. We don't just do the faith and basketball side of things. We also do fantasy football, fantasy baseball, with a lot of interesting things behind it. Make sure you join the mailing list, join as a member for free if I didn't say that already, but subscribe to the podcast as well as if you have iTunes, make sure you review it, give us a 5-star rating, and our YouTube channel. At times will be up and down, but still subscribe to it. It definitely helps us to continue to let our brand go. So in this episode in particular, we're going to kind of talk about some of, like, obviously the season. We're going to get it unless something gets pulled underneath our feet with this, obviously with the COVID-19 and things that is going on today in this world. And then we'll maybe even talk about, fantasy indications of what it may be for players going into next year in your draft season. So with that being said, I'm ready to take people on for a ride. LT, I'll pass you the ball to run that offense.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, the season, we have a couple of, I'm sure you've talked about it, but we got a couple of people that are against the season actually going through. Kyrie Irving, I forgot the other guy's name on the Lakers. Can't think of his name right now, but what'd you say?
Was it Avery Bradley?
Avery Bradley, that's his name, Avery Bradley. Couple of people, and the reasoning why is because of the they feel like the league should do more towards the Black Lives Matter movement, bringing attention to those issues, and so they feel like there should be more done in that lane rather than having a season. The thing about it is that I agree with Kyrie that we need to be doing more, but on the other end, isn't Kyrie isn't he injured? Is he going to be playing?
Well, I know he's going to still continue to say the Earth is flat, but I think he is. I think he still has some nicks and knacks with him, but I think he could probably play if
if he really decided to. Yeah. So I don't know. I get what he's saying, but at the same time, I think that Tobias Harris, a couple other players, LeBron, a couple other players have come out and said that, basketball can also be a form of unity and bring, unity to those issues while it's going on. And, what other way of getting actual eyes and ears on the problems that are persisting than on a televised market, while it's going on, while these games are going on, people actually talking about it, actually doing something about it while there's millions and millions of people watching these games. I mean, what other way to do that, that people are actually going to watch it and digest the information? So I feel like it you can do both. Like, you don't have to do one or the other. There is a way to do both. So that's the first thing I want to just touch on that. I'm not disagreeing with Kyrie's viewpoints and stances. His heart's in the right place, so that's always good. The other thing is a couple of injuries, or a couple people have already bowed out, said they weren't going to play. I know that you posted up, and I don't know if you spoke about this on a pod or not, but you posted up about our guy, Mr. Cousins, talking about trying to play. What do you feel about that? I want to hear what your take is. I didn't get to talk to you about that beforehand. What do you feel about this DeMarcus Cousins? I also heard the same thing.
As soon as I put that post up, I thought about you because in that dynasty league that we're in, for some odd reason in that deep dynasty league, I'm just like, man, was someone must have just been irritated. They drafted him high, obviously, before the season started, the Dynasty League, but because he was supposedly injured for the whole year. But anyways, how I feel about it is, okay, then LT ended up picking him up. That's why I was mentioning that, ladies and gentlemen, he was able to scoop him from the waiver wire, and it's like everybody kind of forgot he was dropped. But anyways, I think it's really interesting because it was reported at first like, oh, he's not going to return, and then I think it was a reporter or someone that is close to him had mentioned, well, he's not ruling that he's going to be out, but it makes things interesting. Now, the team that he's on, I mean, he's still on the Lakers, right, LT?
Yeah, he's still formally
right
on the Lakers. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the question is I'm not gonna say his career is over, but it ain't looking good, baby. Let
me even look, because I almost remember, like, right before the season ended, they were trying to pick up players. Did they drop him?
I hope not. Did they?
Maybe they didn't.
Feels
Lakers
like
center, yeah. Oh yeah. No. I think he's still on the Lakers. But yeah, this is my thing. Okay, this is what I want to say. All right, he's 29 years old. He is a physical specimen. I don't want to write him off, because even if he doesn't, he's injury bug, etc. He still has, to me, at least another 3 good years. If he can get it together, if he can get that health down, I think that if he works on his weight, maybe gets the weight a little bit down, plays a little lighter, a little faster, maybe a little bit further away from the basket, not banging. He's a banger in that paint. Maybe he needs to change it up. He's tall enough to play differently. So, not saying that he's a stubborn guy. I can tell that. I don't need to know him to tell that. He's a stubborn fellow, so he might just decide not to. But I believe in DeMarcus Cousins to figure it out. If there's anybody else out there that you can take a chance on as a big man that may come back from injury in a fantasy setting, DeMarcus Cousins is a guy to maybe just have on the back of your bench, just in case he decides to jump on a wasteland team and put in 25 to 30 minutes a night, because he is able to do that when healthy. So I like it. I like it. I don't think he needs to come back this season, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, because the next season is right around the corner. And so I really think he needs to sit his butt down, continue to rest, change up, continue to heal that torn ACL, and come back next season when a lot of the other players are going to be tired, maybe from this playoff run that we're about to go through, and get some minutes. Of course, I want to do that because he's on my fantasy team, but I think that's what he should do. Stark, what do you think?
Yeah, so I agree with you here. So I think it's safe for him to just sit out the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe they can use him as an insurance policy, emergency type of situation if they really needed it from the Lakers. But even still, I don't think that's the right move to do. I think the Lakers need to do the best they can to hold on to him. But I will also say this: if he comes back next season, I don't expect him to be the boogie that he once was, but you just never know, right? Mm-hmm. Going back to 2012, 2013 Boogie. I mean, he was a good player, right? But he is really, when he exploded, was the 2013 all the way up until 2017, when he was like a top 20 player or better in his career in fantasy in 9-cat leagues. But I really think he could still, to get the value of an ADP ranking that I believe that's safe to say, if he gets 23 minutes next year a game, right? If he was to do that, I think it's safe to say he could be a top 75 or even potentially a top 50 player. And that's still a really good fantasy player.
Yeah,
this
for sure.
Is a player that it's almost like we kind of forgot about Cousins, right? Just because, I mean, we just mentioned, like, does he even still play for the Lakers, right? That's how we felt. It's like we kind of forgot about him.
He doesn't. But also, just to mention, he is a free agent. He is a free agent right now. Yeah, he is a free agent. So he can go anywhere. So if he does decide to play, he could end up on like a team, like another team, like a Denver or I don't even know, like just another team. That he is definitely out there. He has to have a market if he's healthy. If he's healthy, Man, I don't know. I'm not writing off DeMarcus now. Should he find a better situation next year? Yeah, I hope so. But I don't write him off. I think he can come back, play well, and I think he needs to change his game up a little bit. But yeah, that's my thought process. Just to go into the next thing, we have the schedules for all the teams, the 8 seeding teams. I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a ISO rant here. My poor Blazers. We're going to go ahead and scroll down to their schedule. They got a pretty tough boy. So, okay, they got the Memphis Grizzlies, and they got the Celtics, and they got the Rockets, then they got the Nuggets, then they got the Clippers, then they got the 76ers, then they got the Mavericks, and then they end on the Nets. So the first game and last games aren't too heavy, but those 6 games in between, those juicy 6 games in between, are all top tier on both ends of the conferences. So he's not going to be able to get, like the Wizards. The Wizards aren't on their schedule. The Pacers isn't on their schedule. They don't have. I mean, the Pacers are good, but you know what I'm saying. Lower tier teams that could be potentially easier for them to defeat just aren't on there. They just got told, and they don't have any direct matchups with the Thunder, who they are trying to get through for the playoffs. So it's gonna be tough. They have no bouts with the Kings. I mean, I would love to have the Kings on our schedule, have an easier schedule. We just do not have it. It's going to be a tough sledding, and I'm hopeful. I think we have what it takes to beat all of these teams. We don't face, we don't have a Lakers on our squad. We don't, we do face the Clippers, but we don't have a Lakers. We don't have a Bucks. We don't have the Heat. We don't have any of those teams on this list. But these teams are all quality teams, and it's going to be rough sledding. What do you think about that Blazers 8-game sled, Starks?
Ooh, that sled it is. A tough sled, that is. I don't know if I want to be a part of that. I really hope that you guys can pull through. But, hey, this is going to be an interesting time in the season. You just never know, right? There's going to be teams that are going to be slipping because of the COVID. I mean, just like the Nuggets right now, with the Joker. But he should be fine by the time the season starts back up. But I also wanted to ask you this, LT, you being a huge Blazers fan. Trevor Ariza, can you give us a little info on him and what's going on with him?
Yeah, Trevor Ariza has decided that he is not going to play.
Hey.
So he's not going to play. So it's not. It is bad. Okay, it's bad for us. But the couple things that are good about this. So I'm really interested to see what they do with my boy Yusuf Nurkic. Okay. The fact that Ariza's not going to play, they've been man, the the clippings, the newspaper clippings about my man Yusuf have been outlandish, Starks. Outlandish. Sure? They said that he's completely changed his game. Added a bunch of he's a 3-point splasher now. I'm just telling you what they're saying. Okay, they got video. I should have brought the video. They got video evidence of my man doing 3-point throws and just splashing all of them. It's like video. He's hitting them. And so they're saying that he completely has changed, or not. I won't say he completely changed his game, but added multiple. They said multiple dynamics to his basketball acumen. I can't believe they said that. That's exactly what they said. And
wow.
So my thought is that if Ariza decides, he still has time to make a decision, right? But if Ariza decides to continue with this, he's not going to make it. He's not going to do it, and he has a lot to lose here, right? He's an older player.
Sure.
Those older players are like, maybe not. Maybe I need to stay home. And so, do they put Yusuf in the 4? Do they put him at the 4 with these newfound? What they're telling me is that he can spread the floor now. He is a threat from the 3-point line, and that he's doing things. His passing's gotten better. His vision's gotten better. His the stamina has gotten. I don't know about that. But
steal the ball real quick. As soon as you, I'm glad I'm glad that you said stamina because I was about to really question that. And I gotta listen, I gotta see that stamina. I gotta see that conditioning because listen, I know them clippings is juicing the orange. It sounds like by what you was reading and giving that information as an insider of a Portland, you might as well say you're a Portland beat writer because I do not believe I'm going to see him out there hustling without taking huge breaths that I've always now listen, I love Nurkic as the next GM or manager that has him. I've drafted him for several years and he's let me down for several years and he's played good recently before the injury, of course, that we know. But yeah, you pull up some stuff that you read, but I will say this, Nurkic, I will be shocked when I start seeing that arsenal that is added to his game, but it does make sense for him to add that because you have Hassan Whiteside. So maybe this is an indication that since you have him, you're probably going to change your game, and maybe the Portland's going to try to make this work. And if Nurkic can really do that, that is still to be seen. But for him to even be considered at a 4 spot, that's why I'm laughing eternally on the inside because I do not believe it. It's one of those things that I'll say is I'll believe it when I see it. I love Nurkic, but I don't know if I can believe that condition. But I'll pass you back the ball.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull out. What I'll do is on our next one, I'll try to pull out some IG because it's mostly IG clippings and stuff like that. Reports.
You see how I'm gonna still look at this. You see how you had a hard time finding it because you know what? It was probably false doctoring that you seen doing that. But go ahead.
Man, it was an actual clip of him doing 3-point. He was doing 3-point drills. Like, why is he doing 3-point drills? He was doing like it was like man, I don't know. But and he significantly has slimmed down a little bit as well on the weight side. So do I think that's our best bet? Yes, I think that's the best bet. I think that is something we're going to have to do if Ariza does not play, because then we can move Carmelo to the 3 spot and we can play Lillard, McCollum, Melo, Yusuf, and Hassan Whiteside. Whiteside can stay on crashing on the boards. And I think it's a possibility for a good team. Zach Collins.
Yeah, he's healthier now.
He's healthier too. So they may. It depends on how Zach Collins feels because Zach Collins can also slide. He was supposed to be our 4, but if Yusuf is hitting threes like they're saying he is, then I would rather him in there than Zach. But they could rotate Yusuf and Zach more. But yeah, I don't. Just to go, I'm pulling up the depth chart real quick for you, Starks here. And so,
and actually, I can see it now.
Okay, good.
Go ahead. What was you gonna say?
And so with the depth chart we have here, a couple of players that I know me and Starks wanted to touch on coming up. Anthony Simons comes to mind, and your boy, you got a guy here too. He's a junior, but he plays like a senior. Who's the guy you got your eyes on?
Gary Trent, baby. I mean, listen, real quick, on a deep dynasty format, this guy was always hoping to get the opportunity, and this only helps if Ariza doesn't fully come back. But for the future in Dynasty League, since we're a dynasty-driven podcast, but we still do the redraft style, he's a player that I like to have because of the things that he's capable of doing. And you're able to dig in trash cans or garbage cans to pick a player like this from the waiver wire if you're capable of doing that. But I also wanted to touch up a little bit more on Zach Collins real quick, LT, is I remember he was a potential sleeper coming in with Portland, right? So honestly, I'm really interested to see how Portland is. It's really going to go by, and it depends on Zach Collins and Yusuf Nurkic. I really want to see them, and I'm more excited to see your team to see how they do in this short amount of games, because if they can somehow function together, them Twin Towers there, it's an interesting combination there as bigs. But yes, Gary Trent, going back to him, he's a player that is potentially like a 3-and-D guy, and he doesn't just do that. He has some couple of moves, and I've seen him do some odd stuff that may give him some more playing time down the road. And I'm not saying he's better than Anthony Simons, but he could be. There was a lot of people that was mentioning Simons was the guy, or Nasir Little, but Gary Trent to me has solidified his spot over them two right now, but things can change in the future. But I'll pass you back the ball.
No, absolutely. Gary Trent, was way more successful with the time provided than Anthony Simons was. I thought Anthony Simons was going to be that guy to really take, the foothold on that second, that shooting guard, point guard, whenever Lillard or McCollum were tired, come in and really produce, give you plus 10 points, instant offense, as they would say. But he did good some games. He was inconsistent, I should say. And so I really like what Gary Trent Jr. did. He was more consistent with his shots, more consistent hitting those big threes, coming in with that instant offense. So I really like your take on Gary Trent. Caleb Swanigan is another guy to look out for. Not I know, Stark, shake your head.
I wanted him 2 years ago.
I know. No. He was a pretty good, he looked good coming out, and he still has plenty of time. He's young. Sure. But we did pick him back up. So the thing about Caleb Swanigan is that with Ariza being out, the depth at that 4 spot is low. So he may get extra minutes here. Just when everything comes back, you can expect him to be playing a lot. Again, a lot of fantasy leagues, I know a couple of mine have already said, they're out. But look out to see what he does. Keep track of a lot of these players that are playing during this time frame for next year pickups, especially a guy like Caleb Swanigan. He may be available in a lot of leagues, and especially if they're dynasty leagues or continuation leagues. If he does well and is able to etch out some type of minutes here, it could bode well for him next year on another team or again on the Blazers. So again, just look out for him just because he has the opportunity with some of our, with the bigs playing a little bit more. And what do you think about Nasir Little, Starks? Anything? You expect him to do more in this little stretch here, or do you think he's still going to be kind of playing the back seat?
Yeah, I think he's going to be in the back seat. He's going to be wet behind the ears. Portland doesn't have time to mess around the rest of the season. So I think some of his rotation minutes is going to be stifled a little bit the remainder of the season. And you did share a cheat code that I appreciate. Unfortunately, it's not going to work ultimately like we're accustomed to because there's 8 teams that's cut off, I believe. So there's only 22 teams that's playing the rest of the season, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, like, for instance, like LT had brought up that cheat code. Like, if the 8 other teams were playing, this would be the opportunity to still, even if you, like, back in the day or not even, back in last year, if you were, your fantasy season would have been over, right? But you would hope so because you don't want to play the whole season in fantasy. But one thing we mentioned, like LT was mentioning, is still look at teams for the future. Make sure you're looking at teams, even when your fantasy season's over. Look at those them wasteland teams or the teams that's already solidified their spot in the playoffs, because what is going to happen is you're going to look at players that normally doesn't get rotation minutes that are going to get rotation minutes to see what they can do on the court. And maybe that could be inklings and drops of potential ability for them next year. A lot of people just turn their eyes and forget about it. But listen, that is something to help you out. And for us, we dig deep into looking into that to create those opportunities. And that's why I was talking about last year from the Heat, Kendrick Nunn, right? I know he was a rookie this year, but in the G League a little bit, I was focusing on that guy so hard. In a few years prior to that, I remember De'Aaron Fox coming out. I'm going on ISO right here. So, like, De'Aaron Fox, when he came as a rookie in the year, he wasn't good, right? And wasn't the best. And everybody was like kind of written him off. They was just like, all right, I'm just going to get Lonzo Ball. I don't really care about Fox. Now, Fox didn't have the best of year this year. I get it. Neither did Sacramento. They kind of regressed this year. But at the end of the season, after his rookie season, De'Aaron Fox started to pick it up. And he was like, I'm not saying he was a world beater, but he was attacking that basket like it was nobody's business, and he was doing a lot better. He felt more comfortable on the court. It's one thing that it's not just the stats, right? And what LT says, it's honestly also the eye test. We have to use our eyes on how we see players play on the court, but that's just something that we want to take in consideration, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I was one of those people who did not believe fully in De'Aaron Fox when he first came out, but that little speedy guy, he definitely showed me up. He definitely has what it takes. Reminds me of maybe like a little bit of a bigger Schroeder, and I guess that exactly. I did that just for you, Starks. A little bit of
Yeah.
a little D Schroeder, got a little Schroeder in him, little speed, but he's bigger, so he's much more
Yeah.
physical, dominant on the block. So just the last thing on the Blazers. Interesting enough, the reason why you want to pay attention to some of the depth decisions that they make is because the seasons are going to be very close to one another. So if they do exactly what they're saying they're going to do, when the playoffs are over, when the finals drops, some of these teams are going to be flipping around about 30 to 45 days and going right back into training camps. So you have to keep your eye out for a lot of these younger players that are going to be in their second, third years. They're going to probably get more run at the start of next year than normal. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And some of those older players are going to probably play a little bit less next year in the beginning. It's just natural that they're going to probably, like LeBron, I think Kawhi for sure, because he just always takes time. You got, like Paul George, some of these older players you're going to pick up in your second and third rounds. You might want to go after a younger, more fresher leg player that, can turn around and go hard for another 30 minutes in the beginning of next year. Just something to think about with some of these players we're talking about over the next couple of podcasts. But definitely keep track of Caleb. I feel like Caleb's going to play a lot. I don't know why. I think our big man rotation is just everyone's coming back from injury, right, Stark? So I think they're gonna try to be. They're going to try not to sweatshop our big men too much because they're coming off of injury. So, but just to be completely honest, they're going to be sweatshops all over the place.
Yeah. But that brings it to another point, though. I don't mean to steal the ball real quick.
No, steal it. Yeah.
Blazers, again, I'm going to really, LT, focus on the Blazers hard because you brought up another good point that's important. They're going to have to still – I know it's they want to be careful with the big man, right? But somebody's going to have to get minutes. So that's why I'm going to actually look at Gary Trent Jr. even more, right? Because to me, at this point of the season, if there's finishing the season up, if they use Gary Trent at least 22 plus minutes around that area, to me, that's going to show me that they're going to entrust him more next year. And that's a beautiful sight to see for those dynasty GMs. But go ahead.
No. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Anthony. I want to see Anthony step up, but if GTJ, if he can get it done, I will be paying attention. But yeah, everyone's going to be on Toronto Raptor sweatshops this upcoming, so we're going to be able to see a lot. I wish there was some type of fantasy implications we can create with this type of 8-game thing. Because man, these stat lines are about to be juicy. Because not only is defense going to be terrible because people haven't played in forever, but all these high tier players are going to be playing for 30, 35, maybe plus minutes because they're trying to get into the playoffs. Except for maybe the Lakers teams and other things, they may take a chill pill back because they're in a comfortable position, the Bucks, etc. But anybody past that second and third spot, man, they're going to be playing their hearts out. So you can expect a lot of minutes, and that moves us over to the Miami Heat. Starks, we have. They're going to be there's some long-winded people on this squad that I can see taking a lot of minutes, but it's also crowded, man. It's like a jungle here on Miami Heat. What are your thoughts on playing time, the players, and people to look out for, man, fantasy-wise?
For the future or in general?
Future, yeah. Because just your Gary Trent Jr. of the Heat.
Yeah, so So I had an episode here, LT, the Heat, to give you a heads up. I don't know if you know. If you don't, now you know. They are going to have some open cap space in 2021. So there's going to be some free agents that year. LeBron may be one of them. Anthony Davis, another one. And some other good players, right? Victor Oladipo is another. But, he's a tier a lot further down from them. But there's other players. So, obviously, as you know, Miami Heat, It's just the dream for people that are Miami fans. We know LeBron was in Miami Heat before, but it's not. It's like, well, what's the likelihood of him going back over there because he's a Laker now? But with NBA, you just never know, right? But they would have the cap space and capacity of signing a superstar. And we know Miami with Pat Riley, they're going to do anything that they can to get a Shark or the next superstar there on the team in particular. You already have Jimmy Butler. You already have the new budding star that we love here in New Life Fantasy, Bam Bam Bigelow out of Adebayo, that is going to be a fantasy monster for years. I think he's only like 22 or 23 years old, but he is coming. He is coming. He's already averaging a double-double, 16 and 10. He's coming, and 5 assists for a big man.
I was going to say with extras. It's averaging a double-double with extras, man. With
extras. If this guy ever makes threes, it is over. It is just over. I can't even. And so if he improves that and his free throw percentage, I mean, he's not going to be like Joker. He doesn't play like him, but he's going to give you those Joker-esque stats potentially in the future. You just never know. But that's just something you got to think about it, listeners. But in saying all of that, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, we know about the other pieces that they have on the team. One of my guys' specials, Kendrick Nunn, and Tyler Hero, your boy, another budding rookie. They have a lot of pieces here, and really, was it Derrick Jones Jr.? I'm sorry, who was that other guy, that snipe artist, LT?
Oh, that was let's see if it's on this one because the depth charts are a little.
I didn't pull up mine.
No, Chris Silva? No.
The starter.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name though off the top of my head because he's not even showing on here.
That's cool. But no, you're good. So either way, Duncan Robinson.
Okay, yeah.
And then you still got the Dragon to come off the bench. You got even Iggy, the veteran presence of him.
I was about to say Iggy. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Iggy, Kelly Olynyk. You still got pieces, right? But here's the thing. This is where I'm concerned as a dynasty GM, like a deep dynasty GM. You get someone like LeBron, you get someone or a guard, you might as well say, Kendrick Nunn, you're going to be on the bench if they get one of those players, and that's just a truthful thing to say. You get a superstar. I mean, maybe Nunn could be a 6-man, but honestly, they're already playing musical chairs with the Dragon, Kendrick Nunn, and your boy Tyler Hero. So someone is going to take a backseat, or hopefully, if they sign that person, maybe they get moved or traded. But that's just something that I'm concerned about. But as a Miami Heat fan, if you are in 2021, I believe and I'm confident that they're going to sign a superstar and try to make a championship run. But I will pass you the ball. What's your thoughts in general?
Yeah. One of the things that I will say is that my thing about LeBron's next destination, it has to have some type of lineup or setup with wherever his son goes. So if his son, because he said that his main thing, and I think that's why he's still playing to this day, is that he wants to play either with his son or against his son. So I think that's going to be a very big driver on where he goes next. I think he's going to be on the Lakers for another 2 to 3 years. And I think once his son kind of finishes, I don't know what exact grade he is in, but you can imagine he may go to college for 1 year probably, and then he'll be in the NBA. So within the next, I would say 3, maybe 4 years, he'll be in there. So that's going to be a big driver on what LeBron does, because he may end up either being on the same team as his son, which I don't know if that's ever happened before in the NBA. I don't know if anybody's played on the same team as their son, or he'll go to the same conference, same area as his son, so he can play him more often, right? You don't want to play in the West and he's on the East and you only play him once a year. So I have a feeling that's going to be a big thing on LeBron's plate. My only issue with the Heat is that they are one of the most jack of all trades teams I've ever seen in my life, Starks. This is what you call like a jack of all trades player in fantasy. This team is jack of all trades. A lot of these guys do a lot of different things,
Or do.
And there's not like in a fantasy world, there's not a lot of specialists. So you can't, other than maybe Duncan Robinson hitting those
Yeah.
threes, those triples. It's like they just give you everything, which is great.
Hmm.
But when you're looking at this team specifically for maybe some holes in your fantasy teams, it's hard to just pinpoint anybody. And because everybody does a lot, unfortunately, they're usually always taken. Hero is usually taken. Duncan Robinson, unfortunately, like he's just a lot of times taken too as a 3-point specialist. But Kendrick Nunn is usually off that waiver wire. Derek Jones Jr. too. It's crazy. A lot of these players are usually off. Jay Crowder, my guy, Clam Crowder. Even he is always like I look and he's someone
Yeah, like I
has him.
overlooked him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clam Crowder. For some odd reason, even he's off. Kelly Olynyk, he's a great backup big man for your fantasy squad. He gets boards for no reason off of
Yeah.
like 8, he played 15, 18 minutes and have like 8 or 9 boards. Like, I mean, that's what you need from a backup big man. Myers Leonard, no, just kidding. Not Myers Leonard.
Hey, you
But
got Solomon Grundy, man.
Solomon I saw Solomon Grundy, man. There's no need to talk about Solomon Grundy. But yeah, so that's the only issue with the Heat is that you have to draft these players. A lot of these players are you have to draft them. There's not a lot of these players even next year. They're so young that a lot of these players are going to get drafted. Especially maybe Iggy, maybe Clam Crowder won't. But Kelly, like all these players are going to get drafted next year, so we can look at them as a fantasy team all we want to, but it's going to come down to draft day on a lot of these guys. And you can't do a Kendrick Nunn like Starks did this year and get lucky and pick him up. And no, everyone knows about Nunn. Okay, he's not a secret anymore, and so next year is going to be hard to pick any players. So I'm going to be watching the Heat, so I do want them to make some noise in the East. I've watched them play. They're exciting to play. But as far as fantasy implications, I mean, on draft day, if they're there available at the right spots, you got to pick them. And that's like the first team and that second team, Starks. They're all draftable players. They're all the way they play and move the ball around in the rock. You got to get them all. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely hitting all cylinders. And I mean, Derek Jones Jr., I feel like he can still be a better player than just airplane or whatever. I think he could be better than that. There's more things to see. And, KZ, I mean, I won't even talk about that dude, but that's just somebody you can also look in the future. Am I seeing Udonis Haslem? Is he still on the Heat?
He's still on the Heat. He's
40 years old.
I think he's 40. The old. Yeah, I think after now that Vince Carter retired, he's the oldest player in the NBA now. Formally, officially, he's the oldest player in the NBA now.
Man, Vince Carter, we miss you, man.
Hey, man. Vince Carter. I gotta just say this real quick.
Yes,
big respect up to you, Vince Carter. Respect your legacy. After Tracy McGrady went down, I found out you were his cousin. I was like, oh, all right, Vince Carter's the man now. So respect you. Had one of my first jerseys was a Vince Carter jersey. So Toronto when he was back on the Raptors. So big respect to you, Vinsanity. You gave us a lot of good times, even in fantasy, even though the last couple of years, not so much. But when you were at your height, man, you were a fantasy gem. And we appreciate you here at New Life, man. So yeah, that's my little ode to Vin.
Yes, and same with you. I'm with you on that. The great homage what you did for us in fantasy. And listen, he wasn't just a dunker, right?
No.
He could really fill the basket up, man. It was really odd. I wasn't expecting that in his career.
It's funny that you said that. I think a lot of the newer age people think that a lot of these players were just dunkers, or like Reggie Miller. Like I vaguely I remember a lot of Reggie Miller. It was like around the beginning of me watching a lot of basketball. Reggie did a lot more than just shoot threes. He was very good at it, so he ended up doing that a lot. But Vince Carter, he's not just a dunker. He was a slasher. He could also hit later into his years. He was actually a good shot too. He developed a very consistent mid-range. And so a lot of these players that people think, you remember them for one thing, but they were a complete package when they were on the court. Reggie too. Reggie Miller's defense was top tier. So a lot of these players, man, a lot of people don't remember what they used to do, but there was a lot of very good all around, just very good players in the league. Vince was one of them. So big ups to you, Vince. Hope you have fun rest of your career. Hopefully he does something within basketball, man. Hopefully he sticks around.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if he becomes like an announcer. I mean, probably better than your boy Weber, right?
Hey, man, anybody's better than Weber, man. Weber is, listen, I don't know, man. Who's let me get my words out. Who's covering the games? Do you know yet? I don't know.
I don't know.
I hope it's TNT. But I hope it's TNT. I hope they do. I want them to do some type of like combo meal where ESPN, oh man, I can't think of his name. But hands down, man's down. What's his name?
Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson does the floor, and then they're interacting with Chuck, who's part of my I'm a rant later on my ending notes here with Chuck. I have a problem with you, Chuck. So we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about as my closing notes. But yeah, man, we'll see. I hope TNT covers it. Maybe because it's a neutral ground, both will cover it, which I don't see that happening, to be honest. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty much all we got. Well, I wanted to actually just touch up on. You kind of highlighted it on already, which was good. On players, for the season that's going to start pretty quickly next year after this season. Is it going to change value? And I think you touched up on it quite well, because they're not going to – we would think it would make sense to not, wear and tear on the superstars like LT was talking about, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron. They're going to play, but they're not going to – we would hope they don't play heavy minutes, right? It wouldn't make sense. So this is going to be an interesting transition. I would still say draft with the same expectations as you would do next year. But the only difference is just look at the players like LT had mentioned earlier and see if there's a player behind him that maybe you should project a little bit higher than that. Someone that sticks out in mind. So going back to Kawhi Leonard, right, we'll just touch up on him. Someone there's probably about 3 to 4 players you probably want to jump ahead of him. And because you already know that he's going to get the highly likelihood of load management is going to come his way. Paul George, as much as I love him and LT loves him, I will say this. I'm going to be watching Paul George. If there's a player that I'm going to be trying to pay attention to because he didn't have a good year with the 2 shoulder surgeries he had before the season started, and he hasn't played like the Paul George that he did last year. But I'm going to watch how he plays the rest of the season, LT, because if he doesn't give me some spice or some that logic, or not even the logic, but some of the gameplay that he did last year, I'm going to start to hope that he's not really regressing. Now, I know he plays with Kawhi, so they're still trying to find that formula together. But when I was watching Paul George one of these games, he was looking it's either he was looking really rusty or he wouldn't look like Paul George, and he wasn't playing well that game. But I will pass you the ball on your thoughts on Paul George before we start getting to close the ball here, or close up.
Sweet. That was sweet. Paul George, man. You know what, Starks? You know what's funny? Paul George is one of those weird players where, like, to me, he's the definition of a rhythm player, man. I've never seen Paul George come out. Maybe I have. Okay, I won't lie. I have. But I've never seen Paul George come out and fire on all cylinders, man. Like he's usually like super inefficient in the first quarter. Like he'll put up like 10 shots, miss like all like 9 of them. And then second quarter, all of a sudden he'll come out and he'll make like 30, like he'll score like 15, 20 points. Paul George is a rhythm shooter, and as long as he gets in a rhythm, he's dangerous from 3. I think that he's fallen too much in his, injuries and age. He's fallen too much back on that jumper. That's my main gripe on him. He used to dominate in the block and in the paint back in his Pacer days. But he's like a I'm not saying he's relegated to a 3-point only shooter. He does do other things, but he's really does a lot of jump shots, ISO, top of the key type turnaround J's. Like I don't know, like he's Kawhi. Like you're not Kawhi. Like just play, like get in the paint, use your size, and take care of business. But he's he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. I think that next year, like we mentioned earlier, like Paul George is one of those players where you definitely don't want to draft him too early next year because he is going to take time off next year. Especially, we're thinking the Clippers are going to make a deep run too, right? So we're expecting them to make a pretty deep run. He is going to not play a lot in the beginning of next year. You can quote me on that right now, Starks. So players that you want to look out for. I hate to say it, but maybe my man Shamit, whatever his name is, Landry Shamet. Sorry, Landry. But maybe Jarvis Landry, right? Oh, wait, that's football. But anyways, Landry is someone to look out for. He's played a lot of extra minutes. I know he was injured earlier in the season, but he came back. He played a lot of minutes for Paul George, Kawhi when they have been out. So look out for him. I can't believe I'm saying this, man. Marcus Morris Sr. Keep out, look out for him to see if what he can do in this time frame. He has to be 20. How old is he? He's 30. Okay, he's 30. So he's young. He's younger than Paul George. Maybe not him. He'll probably take time off too next year. But JaMychal Green is another guy that you might want to look out for on the Clippers, and whoever they may pick up in the offseason, they may pick up another talent. But just keep your eye out for people like Paul George, Kawhi, especially on the Clippers, where next year there's, later on down in your draft, you're like, okay, we know Paul George is going to take time off. We know Kawhi is going to take time off, whether he was, there was a late season or not. Kawhi is going to miss time. Who's going to get minutes? Who's going to benefit the most on the back end? And you're looking at Montrezl Harrell, but he's Montrezl Harrell. You're looking at Landry Shamet. You're looking at all these guys. Starks, I see a Rodney McGruder here. Is that somebody that you are? No. Okay, perfect. Starks has spoken. But yeah, just keep a lookout. That's all I got to say, Starks. Unfortunately, the Clippers are a very I can't think of the word for it, but their team is old. Their team in general is older. So young infusion, the main guy to me is Landry. What do you think, Starks?
Yeah, I mean, it's a win now team. Like, I know we talk about win now or win the long game in dynasty forms, but in the NBA, this is the team that's built to win now. Sweet Lou, right? They just got all these players that's in their primes and that they need to win a championship now. But this question was burning inside of me that I wanted to ask you, LT.
Okay.
And I think we've probably asked this on before episodes ago. But we were just talking about Paul George. What was burning to me to ask you is, in a redraft league next year, Paul George or Jason Tatum?
Easy. That's easy. In a redraft league?
I figured it would be. Go ahead.
Tatum.
Yeah.
Easy.
I can't believe I'm saying that too.
Yeah.
Like that's how fantasy could change on a dime, man. Like, isn't that crazy?
That's to be honest with you, that's more respect to Tatum than disrespect to Paul George. Tatum has really grown over the last 2 years as far as a fantasy asset. Now, he was a decent basketball player last year, but this year he's really come out as a fantasy asset and one of those guys who does it all. He's one of those guys that does kind of the everything pretty well. He could jump up on his assists, but that whole team just Celtics are like a Heat in a sense where everyone kind of does a lot and plays a role and plays a part. So his assists are decent. His scoring has gone up. His efficiency has been maybe a little bit lower. I mean, I don't know. Like Stark says, man, pump up the volume. No one's worried about efficiency. In fantasy in most cases. So, but yeah, I think that's just a testament to Tatum, man. He's really brought the sauce this year, and I think that continues, man. I think he's one of those players that if you're looking at the top 20 to 24 as far as players in your league, he has to be in that discussion going forward in top 24, first 2 round type of talent.
Nice, nice. So we'll go ahead and get into the clutch shot. As I was stumbling my words trying to figure out what was the closing shot. It's probably because I'm doing that baseball podcast. So apologize for you listeners. We've just been all over the place, or at least me in particular. But the clutch shot I will take here. Ooh, I think I'm going to create eventually like a segment where it just came to my mind. It's either bold or gold. And what I mean by that, we're going to go bold on a player. That is it going to be too bold, or is it going to actually be gold that this player could be good? Nobody stuck out to my mind, but that it's more of I mean, it's going to be a bold take anyway, but will it turn into gold? So the bold take, I'll just go ahead and clutch up on that could be potentially gold next year, is I think Wendell Carter Jr. I'll say this, I'm gonna take a statement on this. When I first started writing, he was one of the guys that I had in my opera system. And for those that are new to this podcast, the opera system that I created real quick, what the letters stand for: O for opportunity, P for per 36 numbers, E for echo, R for ride, A is an age, right? They say age is nothing but a number, but in dynasty leagues, it means more than that, right? But even though I'm telling weird storytellings behind that makes no sense, but maybe it does. Wendell Carter Jr., he was a top 50 player at one point in time. And I was saying when he was in Chicago, he was going to be a great potential player that year. And he was doing good that rookie season before he got hurt. Now, I did start backing off of him not right after he got hurt, but when he had his time before he got injured a couple years ago when he was a rookie. So what do I think he will be next year? This is tough. I'm just going to go ahead and go super bold on this. I think he's going to be a top 75 player. He should have been that. Maybe a lot of people had that understanding of that this past year, but it wasn't for me. And Chicago is such a big mess, right? We know about our boy, actually the White Knights boy, Lauri Markkanen, man. Lauri Markkanen does not look good, baby. I don't know what's going on with Markkanen, and I hope he comes out tried and true, but right now it just looks rude, and that didn't make sense, but hopefully you can take it in. Thank you. Anyways, Chicago, we know about the usage rate by Zach LaVine. He just is a usage monster that just he sucks the ball out of everybody. And then your boy, Kobe Jack.
Kobe Jack, yes.
He looks like he might be coming. So when he's coming, he takes usage rate too. So that's something to kind of look at. I do like the potential in him in a dynasty format. When I first seen him, I was like, I don't know. I was just like, I don't know about him. I faded. But the performances that he showed me with the eye test, I think he would be a potential dynasty player in the future. But as far as Wendell Carter Jr. is concerned, I honestly don't think he's going to be a top 75, but I have to give a bold statement. I think I have to say he's going to be a top 75, although I don't think he is. But I will pass you the ball, LT, for your clutch shot, brother.
I don't know how to take that. How to take take, bro. You said he's not. You said he's not going to be a top 75, but you're coming out and saying he will be. Okay.
That's a true dance.
Hey,
right
that's
there.
a true dance, man. We mambaing, okay. We doing the we doing a little bit of a quick two-step. Okay. My clutch shot. I'm talking to you, Chuck. Charles or whatever you go by these days. Do not put the Viper the Reaper death seal on my team. Did you hear him come out and say that his pick to make it to the finals in the West was the Portland Trailblazers? Why would you do it? Why would you put the Reaper death seal? Man, I heard that and I was like, oh no. And you know what? Charles loves the Blazers. I don't know what it is. He loves our team. I think he really likes Lillard.
Lillard,
yeah,
I think that attitude, man.
I think he really likes Lillard, which is respectable. And so I get it. I like Lillard too, but I'm not. Listen, there's like a 20 minus 15, a 5% chance we make it to the finals this year. 5% chance that we get there. I hope we do. I'm hopeful. I'm thinking.
Still real quick. I mean, you putting all that juice in that orange on your boy Jurkic or
Yeah,
Yusuf, right?
I'm juicing the orange, but I ain't drinking it just yet. I'm juicing it. I've juiced the orange, but I ain't drinking it just yet. I gotta see some receipts before I start drinking that orange juice, man. Right now, all I'm seeing is some estimates. I'm seeing some car estimates right now. None of the work's been done yet, so we'll see, Starks. I hope so. I want to see them. I want to see someone in this video is gonna laugh at me. I want to see us like completely take on Tim Duncan, David Robinson vibes and feels with this team. We got Ginobili and McCollum. We got some other. Hey, we got some. I want to see them just repurpose that team from the Spurs and just throw it out there, man. Just throw it out there. What was Ori on that team? I can't remember who their three was, man. Maybe it was Bruce Bowen. We got Carmelo. God. Carmelo is Bruce Bowen. I feel like Bowen was on that squad. Hey, but that's what I want to see. I want to see them just put Yusuf in the 4 and just throw it out there and see what happens. That's what I want to see. That even if we lose every game, that would make me happy. And so that's what I want to see. But Chuck, please stop telling us your predictions and your takes, please, because that's the Reaper Death Seal. You've never adequately, predicted a champion yet. I've watched TNT over the years. I know what that Reaper Death Seal is and means. And this just, even if we had a 5% chance, it just was negated to 0 because you said it was going to happen. So, but yeah, Starks, that's my clutch shot, man. Chuck, I love you, Chuck, but man, you killing me, man. We're just trying to just chill, and a lot of people are just like, hey, we'll make it to the playoffs at least. We're not even in the play. We're outside of the playoffs right now, so we might not even make it to the playoffs. So we gotta, and then if we do, we're gonna face the Lakers in the first round or another packed team. Like I don't know, man. We would have to, in order for us to make it to the finals, we would have to like beat the Lakers. If we make it in the 8th spot or 7th spot, we would have to beat the Clippers.
I'm still baffled that when I kept hearing the Tim Duncan and David Robinson comparison with that. You brought the Spurs in the equation of Portland. How does those words come out of your mouth of the comparison?
Man, it can happen, man. I believe it. It can happen. Hassan Whiteside is as David Robinson as you can get. And then and Yusuf Nurkic, he's somewhat Timmy like, and
I'll take the podcast license, man. No, go ahead. This is good.
No. That's just my take, man. Again, listen. I'm no disrespect to David Robinson. Okay, I'm completely joking, but. Yes, I am actually. But the Twin Tower, I'm just saying that the ideal of the Twin Towers, just putting 2 really 7-foot guys out there is what I'm talking about. And so I think that's like a different style that no one's really knows how to do, can deal with really right now. And I think that's why it's something that we can do because we can really play off of it, and we have the guards to do it. We have the guards to do it, and we have in Carmelo a proven veteran who can also produce as well. So I think we can do it, especially since we're doing sweatshops anyway. Those are the best 5 guys on our team. I want that to be the 5 guys that are out there. But yeah, man. David Robinson, Tim Duncan, man, Twin Towers, man. Bruce Bowen, Robert Horry, I feel like was on that team. Ginobili. I think Tony Parker was on those squads. Lillard's Parker? Come on now. Come on, man.
Man, there's something I was going to say. See, Twin, when you I forgot what I was going to say because I keep thinking of the comparison of what you just did there. But so listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, LT really, he must have gave me a huge flagrant foul because I had something on the top. on the top of something to say. Anyways, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but there was something important that needed to be said. But oh my gosh, look at them. If you guys get on YouTube, the the Wonder Twins of David Robinson and Tim Duncan, which was compared. Now, thank you for actually that picture. You regained some of the strength of what I was trying to go to. Trying to compare them to Yusuf Nurkic and your boy Whiteside. That combination could be interesting for Portland still, LT, because you remember in New Orleans and they had Boogie and Brow when they were together. They were playing really good. It looked weird at first, but it was working until Boogie got hurt. But it was looking really good. They would have potentially made some noise. So maybe it works, but you're putting a lot of stock to believe in, Nurkic to come back and basically be a 3-point shooter all of a sudden. Good conditioning. Listen, that is the main thing I'm going to be looking at to see his conditioning, because I'm going to when I see our boy, because I like Yusuf Nurkic as well too. When I see him play, I always see him with his mouth open because he's breathing hard and he's out of breath. And that's why all of his years in fantasy and the NBA, he's always had conditioning issues. So hopefully with the slim weight that you said and portrayed, that he's added more to his arsenal, a nice snipe now, play maybe the 4, it's going to be worth to see.
He's been his transformation has been compared to it's been compared to the Unicorn's transformation. You know how he ended up getting muscular, getting muscular. They said that he's been in the gym hard, Starks.
You on the muscle watch for real?
I'm telling you, that's what the birdies are telling me now. Now, whether or not these birdies are chirping the wrong tune, man, I don't know. But it sounds beautiful to my ears, so I'm gonna just go with it because it's exactly what I want to hear. And I'm telling you guys, my biggest thing about it is that Yusuf Nurkic, he was coming on as a top center in our league. Not like top 5. Don't not top 5, but like top 10, top 15 in that conversation as one of the best big men in the league. And I just hate how it was taken away from him. And there's no telling what we could have done last year with him if he was healthy and in full power. So it just having him back means more than just, we got another player back. This is a piece of Portland that we need in order to win a championship. So if he can come back and play well, or if he can come back and play moderately successful, Portland's just that much better. Okay, that there was always us trying to figure out how to play without Nurkic rather than playing with him. So if he comes back and plays, man, if he could play something, that would be big. That would be big for us.
Yeah, because like you said, Portland, that pick and roll is just straight nasty, nasty with them. But again, listeners, again, check out our site, newlifefantasy.com. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and still being supportive of us throughout these difficult times. I'll do the best I can to still push out 1 to 2 episodes a week. So you guys can follow me on my Twitter handle. It's @Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, m.starkspal. Ask me any questions at any time. I'll I'll give you a response in my earliest convenient time. And our team is looking for more contributors. So if you are a person that is interested in writing and you have a passion for it, we'd be looking into trying to get you as a contributor if there's something that you may be interested in. My site that I had the opportunity to be a guest on RotoWire's podcast. The goal with this site is to bring diversity, right? And this is even before all this racism in a sense happened, just to bring the inclusiveness with this in particular, and obviously to share the faith of Christ. But that's available to you guys and wanted to share that. I will pass you the ball. LT, where can they find you out there, brother?
Thanks, brother. You guys can find me on Twitter at SageNetwork_. You can go ahead and find me on there. Ask me any questions about basketball. If you want to just get my take on the games when they start happening, what I'm seeing out there for real, I'll be posting a little bit more during that time about those games. I play video games too, so if you have any questions about video games, you can come hit me up as well. But that's where you can mostly find me at. And also on Instagram at LT_the_Sage. Just hit me up anytime. Any questions? I welcome all questions anytime, brother.
Nice. And last, I'll ask you, LT, what for the listeners, what games are you playing now that they can probably give you a catch up on?
Yeah, right now we're playing a lot of Destiny. We're playing a lot of Apex Legends. We're playing a lot of I'm a little bit of Warzone. I don't particularly like Warzone that much, but we're playing a couple of those games. And yeah, looking for some of the newer games coming out later on down the year. PS5 is coming
Okay.
out later on this year. But Starks, I saw you were playing you're playing Minecraft the other day, man. How's my? I saw you playing Minecraft on PlayStation, man. How was?
Minecraft.
Yeah, Minecraft, man. I saw you playing Minecraft, man.
That might have been my daughter. I'm playing
I,
it on
fi-
my profile.
I figured, man. I was gonna rag on you for a quick. I was gonna be funny with you, but I was like, oh, that's probably your daughter. So that's hilarious. But yeah, man. But yeah, just hit me up. Any questions about anything, man? Just let me know. I'm open ear and an open book, man. So yeah.
All right. So again, listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. With that being said, have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and take a ride.